Liberals freak as Rudy Giuliani uses C-word Stormy Daniels didn't want to hear by Dan Lindsay, Cops and Criminals Politics for MadWorldNews.com. Liberals have another reason to freak out after former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani uses C-word that Stormy Daniels didn't want to hear. You don't want to miss this. The mainstream media is obsessed with adult film star Stormy Daniels, aka Stephanie Clifford, and her outrageous claims of an affair with President Donald Trump. Like so many other topics extensively covered by the fake news networks, the Stormy Daniels story is almost dead, and to prove it, Rudy Giuliani appeared on ABC's This Week with host George Stephanopoulos to put the nail in the coffin. Stephanopoulos wasted no time in trying to make Giuliani look bad by bringing up Trump's recent remarks on Giuliani's understanding of the Stormy Daniels story. The president said, "You didn't get the facts straight, so let's try to get some facts on the table to begin with." The president does acknowledge meeting Stormy Daniels, correct? Stephanopoulos said. Giuliani wasn't bothered by the dig and simply told Stephanopoulos the facts. "You know, I'm not really involved in the Daniels thing, so I don't know. I mean, he denies that it happened. She has written a letter denying it," Giuliani said, according to Daily Caller. After Stephanopoulos brought up the picture of Trump and Daniels standing next to each other, he tried badgering Giuliani into admitting that the two had met each other. Giuliani is way better at this game than Stephanopoulos and showed it by saying, "Well, it looks like my friend Donald Trump before he was president, and that looks like the woman who was on Saturday Night Live last night." Giuliani followed up his comment by putting into perspective the entire situation with Daniels. "Now, that's pretty. I think she kind of got, if I were her lawyer, I'd be very upset. Fame and fortune, let me make money. How is she damaged? She's become rich as a result of this. The $130,000 doesn't mean anything. Boy, I wish that was my case," he said. Let's take a quick listen.
Let's get right to it. Our exclusive guest this week, the president's top attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Mayor Giuliani, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, George.
The president said you're going to get the facts straight, so let's try to get some facts on the table to begin with. The president does acknowledge meeting Stormy Daniels, correct?
Gee, I'm not really involved in the Daniels thing, so I don't know. I mean, he denies that it happened. She has written a letter denying it.
Well, we do have a picture of them together. So the president...
Well, it depends on what you mean by met her, right?
Well, yeah, there's the picture right there. I just want to get that fact on the table.
Well, it looks like my friend Donald Trump before he was president, but and that looks like the woman who was on Saturday Night Live last night.
That's right, but does the...
Now, that's pretty... I think she kind of... God, if I were her lawyer, I'd be very upset. Fame and fortune, let me make money. How is she damaged? She's become rich as a result of this. $130,000 doesn't mean anything. Boy, I wish that was my case.
So the president does deny any sexual relationship with Stormy Daniels.
He has. I have not. I'm not. As I said, I'm not involved in that. But the reality is, he denies it. She denied it. Then, when it was opportunistic, right before the election, she came forward, and then of course the whole thing happened with Michael Cohen, and it's history now because it wasn't a campaign, anything.
But let me just, because you say it's history. When did the president first learn that Stormy Daniels wanted to keep quiet about the relationship?
Don't know. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me are two things. There are two relevant legal things, which is what my job is. Number one, it was not a campaign contribution because it would have been done anyway. This is the kind of thing that I've settled for celebrities and famous people. Every lawyer that does that kind of work has. And number two, even if it was considered a campaign contribution, it was entirely reimbursed out of personal funds, which I don't think we'll even get to because the first one's enough. So, case closed for Donald Trump. And I think for Michael Cohen, who I think got a big boost with Judge Ellis's comments the other day.
Well, let's try. But on the other day, you also told BuzzFeed, though, that at some point after the 2016 election, Michael Cohen had complained to some people that he hadn't been paid by Donald Trump, and that so then you said Cohen met with Trump and told him. And Giuliani said that we'll cover your expenses. They worked out this $35,000 a month retainer. after that. So the president did know about this after the campaign.
I can't say that. I mean, at some point, yes, but it could have been recently. It could have been a while back. Those are the facts that we're still working on, and that, may be in a little bit of dispute. This is more rumor than it is anything else.
Well, that's what you said. You said that to BuzzFeed.
But here's I mean, that's one of the possibilities and one of the rumors. The reality is,
you stated it as fact.
Well, maybe I did, but right now I'm at the point where I'm learning, and I can't prove that. I can just say it's rumor. I can prove it's rumor, but I can't prove it's fact. Yeah, maybe we will.
But you've said as a matter of fact on Hannity and BuzzFeed. You talked to the Washington Post about it.
I don't know. How do you separate fact and opinion?
Well,
when I state an opinion, I'll say this is my opinion, and when I state a fact, I'll say.
You said the president worked out a retainer agreement with Michael Cohen after the election in order to repay him for the settlement to Stormy Daniels.
The second part of it, the last part of it, the retainer agreement was to repay expenses, which turns out to have included this one to the woman that you saw on Saturday Night Live last night, trying to make more money. And now our NDA with her seems to be irrelevant because she wants to break it up because she wants to make a lot more money than $130,000. I never thought $130,000. I know this sounds funny to people there at home. I never thought $130,000 was a real payment. It's a nuisance payment. When I settled this when it was real or a real possibility, it's a couple $1 million, not $130,000.
But
people don't go away for $130,000 of a meritorious
You did
claim.
call it a settlement payment. The president did make these payments to Michael Cohen over the course of 2017, according to you. Then why did, on April 5th, why did the president deny any knowledge of the payments when, in fact, he had made the payments?
I don't know when the president learned about it. He could have learned about it after, or not connected the whole thing at that time. The reality is, those are not facts that worry me as a lawyer. Those don't amount to anything, what is said to the press. That's political. What matters to me as a lawyer
is... to the press?
I don't know. You know a few presidents who did that. I don't think that this president has done that. But in any event, that's not the crime. The crime was it a campaign contribution? Not a campaign contribution. 100%. People want to avoid that conclusion because it gets them out of trouble, and it makes the whole investigation and the tactics that were used by the prosecutors totally repugnant.
But as you know, the law says that any payment in connection with the campaign could be considered something that has to be reported. And Michael, hold on, let me just finish the question, and then you can respond. And Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer, says there's a great deal of evidence, contemporaneous evidence at the time, that they did in fact discuss the campaign.
Michael Avenatti's going to say what he has to say to collect his money. So I know he's coming on later, and people can judge why the heck he let it go on Saturday Night Live, if this is a serious case and not a comedy. But the reality is, he is the test, not of Michael Avenatti, not of me, but of the Campaign Finance Commission. If it could be for any other purpose, even if the purpose is campaign, any other purpose, if a man buys a suit, if a woman buys a dress, it cannot be considered a campaign contribution. Now, this was for another purpose, to protect him, to protect his family. It may have involved the campaign, doesn't matter. And it would have been done under any other circumstances if there was no campaign.
If that's the case, then why wasn't this...
And I can prove that it has been done on numerous times, not necessarily with President Trump, but with many other people that I and other lawyers have represented.
If it could have been done at any other time, she gave an interview back in 2011. There was a blog post back in 2011. She was on radio shows earlier as well. Why didn't the president make the payment earlier?
I don't know. Maybe she didn't demand it earlier. You're not going to pay if there's no demand. I have no idea what the history of her representation was. I do think it's suspect that she waits until the very last minute with regard to the campaign and where you could get the maximum personal damage against the president. Back in 2011, he was a celebrity, but he wasn't running for president of the United States. Now, that adds to the situation. It doesn't create any additional motivation of them. Primary motivation is personal. A long history of doing that she and Avenatti and the other lawyers don't have anything to do with. And I'm very comfortable with that part of the case, George.
Mayor Giuliani,
it's the Mueller part of the case that I came in for.
And I want to get to that as well.
That one's gone. That one's gone. I think if you ask the prosecutors off the record, they would tell you that's gone.
We want to get to that because there were even interviews as late as this week where people said that it was clear to them coming out of those interviews that it wasn't gone. But even the president's allies are having a hard time believing that Mr. Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen without knowing what it was for. Here's Andrew Napolitano on Fox.
If Rudy wants the public to believe that Donald Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen $130,000 and didn't know what it was for, didn't know that it was going to silence Stormy Daniels. That is unworthy of belief.
How do you respond to Andrew Napolitano?
Well, the judge doesn't know the facts of the case. He knows less about the facts of the case than I do. Wonderful guy, Judge Napolitano, but he really shouldn't be speculating on facts that he doesn't know. And I think he would regret that if he thought about it. $130,000 between a lawyer and a client, and a client who's worth billions, is not, George. I don't like saying this. Not a great deal of money. 1.3 million is a great deal of money. That's the kind of money you would think of as a settlement. If I saw $130,000, I would never think it was to settle a substantial claim.
So are you confident that Michael Cohen never told President Trump that I made this payment in order to make an agreement with Stormy Daniels?
Number one, why would I be, and why would I be concerned when it's not a campaign contribution? It was done for other purposes in addition to possible campaign purposes. End of case.
But you do acknowledge...
It was repaid. End of case.
But you acknowledge that Michael Cohen would tell the president this is what it's for.
On October 15th, 16th, right before the election, $130,000 payment when there were other... I did make clear, and I don't know what they are yet, I will know, there were other things involved that had nothing to do with Stormy Daniels. In other words, other amounts of money. This was not uncommon for him to do that. So... no, I would not, if I were him and I were the president's lawyer, and I had done this in the past, and it had worked out in the past, I would not go to him and bother him 2 weeks before the election.
Absolutely.
With this thing.
But certainly before...
Absolutely. Look at what they're grabbing at straws, you know what I'm saying? I mean, really, it's about time that Trump hired someone like Giuliani to squash the idiotic banter in the mainstream media. In my opinion, there should be far more people coming to Trump's defense, especially in his own party. If Republicans weren't being led by rhinos such as Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, then there would be more support for our president. As Trump continues to be attacked by the left on a daily basis, it's crucial for American patriots to continue supporting him and his agenda. Remember, if liberals are permitted to bring Trump down, they won't stop there. Absolutely. The thing is, case closed. Absolutely. What are we talking about here? Continuous. You can't get him on Russian collusion. You can't get him on obstruction. Now for a $130,000 payment, could have been out of his personal money. What? Like, really? Why are we bothered with this kind of stuff, you know? I mean, really. And like Giuliani says, it's been handled like these kind of cases many times to just get rid of the problem. They don't want to be bothered with it. They pay it. Campaign contributions. How about Trump funding his own campaign? How about those contributions? We don't want to go into how Trump didn't even pay a lot of money out, and he won the election, and here Hillary is paying millions and upon millions of donation money, and nothing. She didn't win. Nothing is being said about the contributions into her foundations, that she chewed up the money from Haiti, billions of dollars. No, let's talk about $130,000 paid to Stormy Daniels. Really? That's why America has become a joke to other countries. This is the reason. Something like this, even if it would have been swept under the rug. Nobody would have mentioned it. But the media is hell-bent on making fools of themselves, making fools of the American voters that voted for Trump, and making a fool of the country itself. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.